David? You played some Robocop.
Yes, I did. Another
I thought
big
Robocop
old truck.
was dead.
So, you ever play like a bunch of video games in a row and they're all huge blockbusters and you're like, geez, I'm tired and like I really want to play a video game that I can just enjoy and just like I don't want to even say mindlessly play, but you get my drift when I'm saying that. Like,
yeah, that's Borderlands 3 for me. You just hop in and just shoot some stuff, collect,
Turn your brain
move
off.
on with your life. Yeah.
So I've played like I reviewed Starfield, I reviewed Spider-Man 2, I reviewed Alan Wake 2 in 3 days.
Yeah, you've had to do some critical thinking.
Yeah, there's been a lot of like putting in a ton of effort, and RoboCop was one of those where I enjoyed the demo that I got to play. This is by the same people who did Terminator Resistance, which I'll talk a little bit more about that in a second. I was like, you know what? I really like this idea. I want to play it. Well, of course, it comes out right after all of this stuff, and I'm like, oh, I am so tired. Do I really want to play another video game so quick to have to like write about? But RoboCop was great in that like all these blockbusters around and everything, and this is, I think I even referred to it in the review as, it's a popcorn flick, in that I can just sit back and blow up some bad guys with a pistol and just enjoy myself and not have to like, there's more depth in this game than you'd expect from a RoboCop game, but at the same point it's not like, again, going through Alan Wake 2 and having to like, how do I do this?
Yeah, you're not having to strategize a whole bunch.
Yeah. So I'll at least put out, I've not seen the original movies. Ron Burke has, our editor-in-chief, and he loves all of them. So he did help with this review in terms of like talking about the references they make to the movies and stuff like that, which, as he put it, they do a fantastic job. Like, from the sounds to like the set pieces to all this different stuff. He said that this is a fantastic fantastic representation of the RoboCop movies.
Okay,
it's probably the best RoboCop classic growing up. I've seen one or two. I don't really remember them, but I remember the vibe. And none of the games growing up when I was a child, whether it's on Game Boy or NES or whatever, like they couldn't capture that. And I don't know if it was because of I don't know if it was because of the writing. I was too young to really analyze it in that way, but you could feel it. Like, it just wasn't the same.
Yeah. And that's probably the coolest thing about gaming at this point, is we're at a point where it's so much easier for these developers to capture the vibe that we're looking for,
especially for
in a lot of
licensed
these
games.
Yeah.
Like even the old Spider-Mans, like they didn't capture it quite the same way Insomniac is doing it with current Spider-Man. Part of that, I think, is technology.
Yep. Well, it's also helping now that we have teams that actually want to make these things, as opposed to let's crank this out in 6 months to coincide with the movie.
Yeah, that's fair.
Because that's what happened with a lot of licensing.
No, you're right.
Terminator Resistance was the last one they made, and while I didn't give it the greatest score, even looking back, I probably could have been a little bit higher on it, but I ended up giving it a 65 out of 100, and it was because it looked like a late PS3 game. Like, it it did not look pretty. Like, it was one of the things for me that really just didn't work well. The gunplay was pretty decent. But I think the most interesting thing with Terminator was you're playing this game and they're going with a spin-off essentially off of the movies. So it's not anything specifically that you've watched in a movie. There are some references that are there, but what's cool is with Terminator, there was a dialogue system. So you were actually choosing things that people would remember, kind of Telltale kind of style, like,
okay.
Actually influencing influencing things in the story as you're making dialogue choices. That was in, and it does enter into RoboCop, but it was in Terminator. And then there were also like open levels with side objectives. So you'd go around doing your main mission, and there were little side things you could do. Like, for instance, looking for like this little boy's dog. You could go look for it while you were out there in Terminator, and just these things with the relationship and the world building that they did really well. And I'm like, man, they can just get things right on the graphic side, on the feel of this feeling like it belongs.
That's crazy. Like, I feel like, at least for me personally, it's not often where I'll knock a game so bad because of graphics.
Yeah, and I wouldn't normally, but it really looked dated. Like, and that's the only reason.
Yeah, no, I don't blame you. That you feel like it should be in the, whatever year. What year did that come out?
I don't even remember. It launched on the PS4, but they made a PS5 version, and of course, I had it on PC, and that was back when my PC
That's
was.
What I'm thinking of.
I played on PC, and that was back when my PC was much more top of the line than it is now. So
it still looked like
the
PS2
fact that
graphics.
it still looked like that was, again, that shows the way you built it was how it looked. It was not the hardware you were playing it on.
That's that Skull Island issue.
Yeah. Oh, that's just not a well built game. But I'm happy that they kept going. And when I saw that they were working on RoboCop, I'm like, okay, I really want to play this because I want to see the growth. Because there was a good game underneath Terminator. There was a good game in there. Like, so I know that this can be better. And then playing RoboCop, it was like, okay, you've arrived. This is fun. This is good. If you want to play the footage, like, this is from PC, so it is going to look a little bit cleaner than it did for me on PS5.
Well, at the very least, it doesn't look like a PlayStation 3 game. At the very least.
Yes.
We've evolved. We're there.
Yep. The cool thing is they played. Okay, now I got myself lost in this. They took all these pieces that were in that Terminator game, the things that worked really well, and they put them into RoboCop. Like, that's the good thing, is they took things that they did well. They didn't fix what wasn't broken.
Sure.
They brought it over, and then they improved on these things that did not work. And again, there's still some stuff like the mouth animations can be abysmal. And some of the characters are talking. There are moments where it's like, oh, this NPC looks great, and then they look awful. Like this right here. Like, it actually looks pretty great. Like, it's not terrible.
Yeah, that's
no.
This is a double-A game. This is a double-A game. This is pretty good.
No, it is pretty good. But I see what you're talking about with the mouth animals. Those lips, very rubbery.
Yes. And when you actually are hearing the talk coming out, like, it's even more so. Because there are some moments where it's like, that does not look like what he's saying.
No, but for a double-A game, this does look good.
Yes, it looks really good. And that was one of the first things I thought was, can you make this better? Like, can it look better?
This guy.
And yeah, like I said, sometimes it does not look great. Sometimes it's like this, where it's like, the pores on his face. Like, I see everything. But then again, other times it's like, it does not look nearly as good as it does right here. Of course, this is funny because then one of the bad guys comes in who apparently got lost a fight with a weed whacker.
Should I put the sound on?
If you want to, that's up to you. Ron may be talking in the background of this video.
You have to. Okay, it's fine.
Homie's got a half pipe for a hairdo.
Yeah, what is this?
Tony Hawk be pulling like the...
Yeah. He's going to drop out of retirement, man.
Yeah, wow.
You can fast forward this a little bit if you want to get to the actual gameplay, because the cutscene does take a second.
I don't know. This. I'm kind of curious to see what happens next, because we've already seen fairly, decent mouth. Now we're seeing half pipe hairstyles.
Yep.
With, I mean, this
It looks like he's holding a tiny toothbrush in his hand. Like,
that's actually a drug from, I believe I don't know if it's Robocop 2 or 3. It's the drug that they made up called Nuke that's in the world. So that it's something trying to get off the streets.
This guy's wearing the cutoff shirt, when it comes way down to your waist, the open sleeve.
Yeah.
But it's also shrunken so far in his chest, like it's almost just show the nipples, like just go all the way. Just don't even wear a shirt.
Yep. Yeah. Boy, he's washed that a couple times. But then, like I said, like the nice glow off of all of his shiny metal parts and everything like that, it's all looks really good. Just waiting for it to get to the gameplay. Waiting for it to get to the gameplay. The gameplay. I mean,
I skipped ahead, and apparently I skipped right to a cutscene. So
yeah, it's just about to. Here we go. Okay. So this is like you go through here. You go through these different places, and there's little intel pieces on the side and whatnot.
As soon as we went to this, I immediately felt GoldenEye for some reason. Like there was a way the movement
remastered,
and it is it definitely shows that it is its own thing. Really, with the way that everything works, that there's not really a lot of things you play like this, and it's just kind of the perfect double A game. Because there are some things that are more just like this. This is the opening level, and it's more standard in what you're doing. Like you were just point A to point B, shooting things as you go. But then you actually do go into like old Detroit and stuff like that, and get to go around and like actually do different crimes and stuff. Like that, there's actually in the very beginning. Dude, it is like you pick guys up and wham.
Wow.
It is just fantastic. Yeah. What's funny is when you get new motherboards for your gun to upgrade it, like you can actually make there be more gore effects. I mean, straight up, these guys you're ripping limbs off when you're going and looking at them.
This makes me want a Dread game.
Oh, I was just thinking
maybe that'll be maybe that'll be their next thing.
There was a great Judge Dredd Game Boy game that my brother had that I played a lot. Classic. They should bring Judge Dredd back.
Yeah, it's just so fun to play this game. Really, just because as you see, you just are a walking tank. Like there are moments where you've got to pay attention to your health and whatnot. Like not everything is just easy to kill, especially on the tougher difficulties. But you're able to use both your abilities along with different upgrades to actually help you, because there is actually a skill tree. Like you can actually raise your your dialogue skills. You can raise your combat skills, which there are little checkpoints in upgrading them where you get bonus abilities. Like one of the ones I had was like a dash where the dash would actually hurt people as I ran by them, knock them over, as well as like one where it'd be like I'd shoot off like this thing that would blind people for a second so that I could shoot them. It only worked in close proximity. But then there was like one where you could essentially put up shields for a second. Like it would give you shields to help you take less damage in moments. Like it's little stuff, but it's like, it's this nice thing of, oh, this is cool. This doesn't feel like it's just here to be here. It actually feels useful. Yeah. I think usually what happens in a lot of these games is they go in and they're like, we need skill trees, and they throw it in with no thought. Or they just put too much of it in there, so half of it doesn't feel like it matters. Whereas with Robocop, I think there are 7 different things you can upgrade, and you can upgrade them about 8 or 9 times. Can't remember exactly how many, but each upgrade feels like it actually makes a difference. Like some are percentages, just passive percentages, but it feels like it gets you closer to that next checkpoint, which gives you a bigger boost or an actual ability. Like, for instance, with engineering, it's giving you little boosts in specific stuff, but the 6th boost actually lets you unlock safes without even needing the combination.
Okay.
So it's like I'm getting benefits anyway. One of the things you'll notice, like, you can pick up guns. That's sheerly for your secondary. So you just pick them up for your secondary. I really hope Ron throws this at a person. It is so
this is
great.
Ron's gameplay.
It is. Yeah, this is Ron's gameplay. It is so awesome to pick up a old computer monitor and chuck it at these people.
Oh yeah,
like it's just an insta kill. You see their limbs everywhere.
It's like Steve Jobs sends his regards.
Exactly. This is from Bill Gates.
Yeah.
I keep getting off on the wrong things. I was just talking about the guns, and again, those are your secondaries, whereas your main gun is the pistol, the Auto 9 that everybody remembers from the movie. Like it's the signature weapon. And that one you actually have unlimited ammo on. I don't know if that changes on higher difficulties, but in the first 2 difficulties, you have unlimited ammo. What's fun with those motherboards that I mentioned, where you can upgrade the gun, you switch, but you have the choice to switch between different motherboards. Different ones have different perks that you can set up using microchips that you gain as you play the game that you find. And it's some stuff is just percentage boosts, but like I got a motherboard that I straight up, it was a cheat code, because not only did I have a lot of damage boosts and stuff like that, but I had it set up where instead of the 3-round burst or the 3 or 4 round burst that the pistol automatically does, it was automatic, and I didn't have to reload.
Oh yeah, that's great.
Here's the fun. There's unlimited ammo on this gun.
Oh yeah.
So all I had to do was point and hold the trigger. And it just shot, man. Like that. What was funny is one of the trophies is the training course downstairs. And the only reason that you can really lose the training course is as the I don't know what if to call them, silhouettes or what they are, but like as the targets come at you, like if they reach the end of the course, it you lose.
Yeah.
If I don't ever have to reload, I'm just frying everything. So yeah. I got all 3 of those trophies in beautiful. One go because of it. I actually, funny enough, there's one trophy that I don't have in this game in one playthrough. Because all of the trophies are pretty simple to get. Another reason why it's an awesome pickup is a AA game, because you can just get all the things you want easy. Like there's one hidden motherboard I don't have. That's it.
You know, I'm looking at this level and I feel like I've already had the flavor of, man, I felt GoldenEye as soon as I saw it. Now I'm looking at this level and I feel like this is something out of Perfect Dark, like when you're in Datadyne, and
yep.
I'm like, I feel like you're just ready to pick up a laptop gun at some point. Like this looks like a level out of Perfect Dark. Are the levels more linear than what were done in Terminator?
No, Terminator actually did a really good job with having open levels. Like,
yeah, you mentioned that.
There are, I think that some of the scale feels a little smaller in the sense that the locations, maybe it's just that the locations feel a little bigger in Terminator. I don't think they're actually bigger, though, if that makes sense. Like, I think it's just the location itself doesn't feel, it feels like more of a singular location, whereas some of the Terminator ones felt a little more multiple areas. with some of them. Like
so far in the
old
footage, we've seen you walking down hallways.
Yeah, old Detroit. When you get to that one's a lot. That one's really the standout level, and it's the one that shows up multiple times. Okay. The cool thing, one of the things they did that was really smart is they have you first experience it at night, and then the second and third time you go back, it's in the day. And both of those, if I'm remembering right, both of those moments are very different. So it's like they're able to kind of give you a new feel to the level just because they changed it from night to day, and it looks completely like that. That shows that there was a lot of effort in it, not that it was just something they were trying to get away with in reusing an environment because it feels like it belongs that way.
Yeah.
When you're shooting everything, I love the whole when you aim down sight that it changes, that it does the old
like
school
targeting.
like computer targeting kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's perfect for RoboCop.
I'm noticing Ron like picking up a lot of things. Like, is that just pertaining to the story, or
so a lot of it is like because you're earning experience with kills and all this stuff, and you use skill points to level up. Picking these things up, it's like little things in your environment, like you're picking up criminal elements. Like some stuff is like what he just picked up right there, that's a health charge, like to recharge your health, whereas some things of course are going to be like guns, but there is stuff like nuke, the drug, you confiscate that. There are fake IDs, incriminating photos, documents, stuff like that you pick up as you go around places.
Yeah, he is looking for everything.
yeah, he is.
I did the exact same thing. I'll be honest, I did the exact same thing. I'm really impressed by the destruction in the game too. Like you'll notice quite a bit that you can shoot grenades when someone throws them in the air, by the way. And
yeah, I saw that. I saw the shrapnel and debris off of the wood and stuff. Yeah, that's not bad.
You can grab the
you
can grab these and throw
from
them.
The body.
I was like, guys, I don't think he's gonna walk that one off. You know?
Yeah, you are frying these people, and they are doing like the most campy Wilhelm scream kind of things. And it's just great. Like you'll hear him, my hand, he shot my hand. Like stuff like that. It's befitting is the thing. Like this is that campy old movie, B movie, and it just works so well.
Well, Ron was just holding a tank that got shot and it exploded while he was holding it, and he didn't even flinch.
You still take damage though. You still take damage.
Apparently not a whole lot because he's still at 61%.
To care.
Yeah, it's still a decent amount. One of the things, of course, that you cannot make a RoboCop game without doing is that signature robot stomp as he plods through, and that is very much here. Like you hear the junk and junk as you're walking through, and it's great. Like if you want to turn on the audio for a second, just so you can hear it,
you have to turn it on because it's your video.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize. I thought.
Oh, Ron's talking, so never mind.
Yeah, a little bit, but listen. And you can go watch this on YouTube. It is actually him talking about the movie as he goes through. But you hear that metallic.
Yeah, it's actually not as loud as I thought it would be because I thought that would get really annoying, but no,
it's perfectly balanced. Yeah, it's so much fun to play.
God, he just got. Oh, that's part of the game.
You're gonna walk it off. It's fine.
It's intentional. Yeah. Which there are a couple parts in the story, like it stays campy for a lot of it, but there are moments where it is like he's having his memories creep in right here, and you're hearing like I believe in the original movies, not spoilers or whatnot, his family dies, like, or killed, and so you're hearing them talking and stuff and whatnot because if I'm remembering right, essentially they try to kind of clear his memories and he gets his memories back because he's still human in all of this. So it's just these different things that are happening, and they've got like these kind of almost psychological thriller kind of little moments that happen as you're going through. But there are, for as many of moments as you're serious with these things, then you have the moment where you go and you cover at the police desk at the police station, and you're trying to help with the people coming in, and you have a guy who looks like a bad guy, and he comes in because he has information on bad guys, and it's because he's turning himself in so that he can get the reward for turning himself in. And you just arrest him right then and there. So it's just the hilarity of these moments where it's wonderfully campy but still manages to have a good story underneath. Because this is a spin-off story.
And it's definitely riffing off of other games. Just when he reaches the door himself, and you had the Call of Duty moments where everything slows down and you get the quick
the frame of the muzzle flash from like 80s action movies.
I can skip forward. I didn't realize.
Yeah.
I'm gonna see if we can get to like old Detroit. Here we go. Yeah, this is where I think that's the open. Yeah, this is the open world level, where, like I said, you've got these things. So you can, one of the things they have in the side, Ron's probably about to try and give somebody a ticket because they parked in front of a hydrant. He apparently cannot figure out how to do it.
It doesn't look like it's
that, or he's just really interesting. That, or he's just wanting to look at the car to see if it belongs in this.
No, it looks like he's trying to give it a ticket.
Is this movie accurate? He's checking the details.
The fact that you could do that though, that's great.
Yeah, and they're obviously planned instances. Like, there's only so many of these in the environment, but you'll go like, again, from the linear missions to in here, you go around exploring, and there's a lot of side things to do. Like, there was one where I went and there was this kid who was trying to buy drugs in the city, and he bought it. He was buying it from this new dealer who was, what was it? He was stealing it from other dealers and selling it for half price, is what was happening. So you go and try to find it. You go and you call him on the number, and he recognizes who Robocop is right away, because Robocop's voice is very recognizable. But then the other dealers show up while you're on the phone with him to like kill him. And he screams, "I'm doing the laundry over here. Please help me." And so you run over to his apartment to help. You go up to the roof only to go through this cutscene where the dealers are giving him an economics lesson on like how if you lower the price, like, then they have to lower their price, and it's almost this thing of, we don't care that you're stealing it, it's that you're selling it for half price, so we're gonna have to kill you.
That sounds like a Borderlands thing.
Oh, it's so funny. And then you go and do all of this stuff, and then you catch him, and I forget the options exactly that you have, but you keep him from killing himself, and then and tell him if he goes to prison, then you'll speak to the people, and then he can actually like work in the laundry, which is apparently his passion for some reason. So he's like, "Oh, I'll do that."
Hey, it's better than being on drugs, you know?
I think what's even funnier is the fact that you go to the prison for a mission that you have to do where somebody's breaking somebody out, and you run into him in the laundry. Like so they even tie it like they actually thought through these missions. It's not just that they're these things that you do in the world, they're well thought through. And it's just like, you'll have that, but then you'll also have one where there's a prostitute that's been murdered, and you got to go around and find out who killed her. And you have these little, again, they're pretty straightforward, pretty scripted, but
sure.
Survey the crime scene, find the evidence to lead you to the next place. So it's, again, nothing that's going to be too over the top, too deep, but just the fact that that depth is in the game it is just great. Like they even have one of those end of the game things where they go over some of the characters and talk about like what has kind of happened to them, and they base some of it off of things that you have said or done in the game. So it's again just cool. Like this instance right here, you're searching this guy's locker. I played the demo and ended up having to go around this guy's shop and find evidence to convince him to let me do this. Whereas when I played the game for review, I was able to use dialogue because I put more points into that right away to actually convince him to let me to do it. So it's like there are a couple different ways you can go about doing things, and that just again adds to I really love dialogue options in game, but I also love when they give me the options to do things different ways.
Yeah.
It just makes the game feel, I'm trying to think of the word. It's just deeper than most games like to go, especially like you said with licensed products. You don't always get this much attention to these different details, these different systems, and it's just done very well.
Nice.
Trying to think of any other things. Like it's just fun to play.
Yeah.
Like that's really the biggest thing. There have been some performance issues. I hope that there's some patches coming because performance mode was very jerky on console. So I would assume it's better than 30 frames, but it is not very clean.
Okay.
There was some loading issues.
You can see the frame stutters, or you can see the frame drops.
It was the drops and stutters, really.
Oh.
And then I had a couple bugs. There wasn't anything that was too awful, but like they were just there. That's really the biggest thing, because even quality mode, like you still will get a couple of drops even in that. And in those moments, you're kind of like, man, you'd really hope it'd be kind of locked to 30.
Yes.
Yeah.
Whereas it still has some struggle. So it's probably more in the sense of they bit off a little more that they could chew in how they built the game. But I'm happy that they put so much effort into making it look really nice. PC does not have any of these issues. Ron was not having any problems at all from what he said. So this is it's a console centric issue. So hopefully there might be some things that they can optimize as this game continues. I don't even think this is a full price game. I think it's like $40-$50. And I put 15 or so hours into it, I think. So it's fun. It's well worth the money, in my opinion. There's plenty to do. There weren't moments where I was just chasing objectives to chase objectives, like the boring stuff. For instance, like just giving out tickets, so to speak. I didn't go chasing those, and I didn't feel like it took away it would have added in terms of some of the things I could have found or some of the skills I could have had, but it didn't really hurt my enjoyment of the game to not do them. And at the end of these open levels, one of the nice things, they ask you if you want to leave, and they will list off if there are things that you missed. Like essentially saying, hey, if you leave, these are the missions that you will not be able to come back and do.
Oh, wow.
Oh.
Like they will warn
Is
you
it because
that,
you're
hey,
moving
you did not.
New Detroit?
Well, it's because you have a main mission that you're following.
Right.
And when you're done with that main mission, you go back to your car to drive back to the police station to essentially advance the story to the next part.
Oh, so it's not really an open world in that way.
These are open level. They're open levels.
Okay.
So, but it's like, so you use that they use that as a device, but instead of you just straight up missing other things, they actually tell you, hey, these are things that you might miss.
Okay.
Like so I would get to the end and like most of the time I just missed they told me, hey, you missed protect and serve, which is essentially doing all of the handing out tickets. And that's really the only things I would miss. Because it's not as a humongous open world in the sense that you're going to miss everything really easily. Like if you take your time and explore, you're going to find most everything. But like this is a guy that I found that you got to chase down because he's tagging up the neighborhood.
Yeah, man, you got to get those taggers, the real crooks.
But yeah, it's, I mean, you're looking at it like it is I'm very impressed like with how good they made this game look. Like it is, the environments look really nice. Like
were your
the
expectations low?
I don't think so. And it's because of playing their last game, because I didn't score it well. And I really wanted this to be kind of that improvement on that system, because I really like the system for it. I really like all of that. And when I played the demo, honestly, my expectations were higher for this game specifically. Like, I don't want to say they were like sky high or anything, but I expected plenty out of it just because it was like, man, this is really, I can tell that this is better. I was just hoping that they continued making the game as fun as the other one was, and they did.
All right, sweet.
Nice.
It looks playable.
Yes.
Like if somebody told me, I'll pay you $10 to play this, I think I would. So yeah, this looks all right.
As well, I got in the name, I'd buy that for $1, which is apparently a reference to the movie, is what Ron said.
Which you reviewed it, right?
Yes, we gave it an 80 out of 100. It
15 points higher.
Yep.
Than Terminator.
Yep.
Okay, yeah, it's pretty good. It's pretty good. Well, I got stuck playing, not stuck playing, but I've been playing Cities Skylines too, and I've been stuck, meaning I'm enjoying playing Cities Skylines too. We talked about it a little bit last week because there's the news story that came out that mentioned performance and Colossal Order's weird response to the performance stuff. And I have to say, the performance on PC it should be better. When I first started playing it, I was only getting 24 to 30 frames per second, so it didn't drop lower than 24. So I at least had movie quality frame rate for a city builder. But as the week went on, my frame rate kept increasing. So I don't know if there's mini patches happening every day that's increasing the frame rate, but I'm up to 45 frames now.
Nice. Look at you.
Hey, 45. It's not my doing. It's all them back there doing their work. But look, I'll be honest. I can understand why they did what they did after playing it myself. I don't care about the frame rate. Like, it doesn't really impact my enjoyment of the game. What was annoying was there were a few stutters that would happen every once in a while. And I wasn't sure why that was happening, but I realized every time it auto-saved, it froze for a moment, and then I could resume control. But other than that, I mean, it looks good. The frame rate is just lower, but it's a city builder. So am I annoyed by the response? Yeah, it's a crappy response, but there might be some truth to what they were saying in terms of maybe it wasn't just spin, but maybe they do have some data that suggests, yeah, a lot of people don't actually care about super high performance. But I don't know. I might have to spend 2 weeks talking about this, because I don't know if you guys have played City Skylines or Sim City or anything like that.
I've played city builders before.
Which ones have you played?
I don't remember. It may have been the first Cities Skylines. I just can't remember.
Yeah, I'm not.
Sounds like you had a good time.
Building kind of guy. Yeah, that is not my lane.
It's been a very long time since I did.
That's fair. I don't even know how I got into City Skylines. I think. Oh, I know what happened. It was it on Game Pass? No. What was it? I got it for free. And I think it was it in Epic? I don't know. I got it free or I got it cheap. Something.
It's on PC Game Pass right now, so.
Yeah, but it wasn't that I played it first. I think I just got it super cheap. It could have been a humble bundle even, because I always wanted to play it, but I wasn't going to pay full price for it. So I think I just got it for cheap. So I got it for cheap, played it, and it's this weird, like, I don't know if it's because I'm interested in business and things like that, but there's this weird, like, I build and have to make economic decisions and watch things grow and like manage this whole city where people are complaining about how hot it is, and you can influence the heat generated in your city by having less industrial smoke pluming out of chimneys, and you could have more people because you got more business, but people won't come and get the jobs if your roads suck. So you got to make sure your roads are built right. So there's all these like little micromanaging things that I would hate doing in a real-time strategy game, but I love doing in something where I can just pause, make decisions, and then see those decisions play out once I unpause. So I find it really fascinating. If you're unfamiliar with any city builder, but particularly Cities Skylines, you pick a map and you start with an empty map, and you have to make decisions about how you're going to build the city, starting with roads. And with those roads come little grids where you can zone the type of buildings you want in an area. So residential, commercial business, industry business, office building, things like that. So you have to figure out, being the whole goal is, how do I make the biggest city possible? But you have to attract people to your city. And usually that is by pretty much building up residents so people actually come to live there. And then they want to work. So you need to build up commercial areas so people can actually work. And so you have that dynamic going back and forth. But then you also need to make police stations and, medical facilities and bus transportation stuff. And like all these little things that we take for granted in a city. And it's like, oh, like all this stuff like is necessary, like to have a functioning city. And so it's just a really fascinating look into, like, you get to a point where you have all these citizens, and then people start complaining about there's nowhere to put the trash because the landfill is too full. So it's like, oh yeah, I guess that makes sense. I should go build another landfill. So you're making all these kind of decisions the entire time. And then you get to a point where if you're grown so big, now you can add flight and you can add shipping with boats and all that. So it just keeps going and going. And I haven't really gotten that far in terms of how all those systems work, because as I am learning, I keep restarting. So what you're looking at right now is probably the 4th or 5th city I've started, because I keep learning things as I go. And I want to restart a new city with the things that I've learned so I can have a longer lasting city that doesn't get bottlenecked. So my last city before this one, I had built up a nice street grid system. Okay. I'm going to fast forward it a little bit so you can start seeing what some of it starts looking at. I built up this grid system, and I was like, okay, I know I want this area to be residential. I want this area to be commercial, and I want this area to be industry. And so I did all that, and it was working. But then I got to a point where everything was bottlenecked, and all the residents are like screaming at me like, there's no place to work. And I'm like, there's plenty of places to work. There's all these places you guys can work. It's right there. But the problem was, there wasn't the streets weren't like accessible enough in hindsight. This is something I learned in this map, but I ran out of kind of space to logically put things. So it was kind of like, oh, I should just build up as I need. So that way I'm not overbuilding everything. And then I've run out of logical space for things instead. But you see like these little bars at the bottom left, and that kind of tells you what's needed for your city. The top green means residential. So, there's zoning you can do for residential. You put the residential in, residents start moving in if your road system is good enough. But the way this game simulates stuff, you could have lots of space, but as we would logically, if stuff is too far away, we ain't going to it. I ain't living all the way down over there away from everything. And so this bar keeps filling up, and it's like, yo, I got plenty of, look at all these houses. I realize, well, what happens if I plug in a few more roads? And then all of a sudden, people started rolling in after I plugged in a few more roads. So, it's just like one of those things. It's accessibility. Oh, I guess that actually, you can't just do anything and people start showing up. So it really tests the idea of like, you need to have a good network of roads. You need to have logical transportation options for people to get to work, especially if you have, long trips. You need proper roads. If you have a great distance between different parts of the city, you need a logical road. You can't just use a regular residential road to get people in a long distance. You need a freeway road. You need a highway type of thing. So all these little decisions, it's just really fun to play out and just see what happens. And you could do all kinds of weird stuff, whatever you want. And it's just fun to see and figure out the puzzle of like, oh, frick. Okay. I need something here. Is this possible? So, I'm really liking this game.
I just love how we've went from a game where David loved it because he could turn his brain off to a game where it's like you have to have your brain on.
Yeah.
Like,
more or less. It does start off super thoughtful at first. And I will say the tutorial system for this game is worse than the first one. And I need to play the first one again to remember what its tutorials were like, but I feel like they were better than this one. This one, it explains a lot, but there are moments where they kind of leave you hanging. Like building the water system, like it tells you like what the water system's for, what you need to do, how it impacts the community. But I believe in the first one, like it was literally like, click this button. All right, now choose this thing. All right, now drag this over so you can, put the water line with the so it can get to the city, that sort of thing. This does not do that. This is what it does. Choose a thing, but you have to figure out how to kind of put it together, which was more annoying because I didn't have that remembrance of certain things. And they've added, like in the old one, for example, you could only do stuff above ground. This one, you could do stuff underground. So you could have underground power lines and things like that. So experimenting with that stuff was like, I don't know what's going on. And then not knowing what's actually improved or added on with this, that made it a little bit tougher too. So I wish the tutorial went more so like, if you've never played this game, this is how the tutorial should go.
This is how you should.
What I would need, like if you're horrible at this.
Yeah, exactly.
You gotta play.
This is exactly. Yeah. So I've definitely had to go on YouTube and watch some Cities Skylines veterans to get my my mind around this. But once you kind of get a grasp of just getting stuff going, you could turn your brain off a little bit more. So you could kind of have the basics. But I mean, you see all these arrows on the screen, right? This is pointing in the wind direction. So as thoughtful as you get, if you build like industry, for example, that's where you get all the warehouses and the manufacturing and the plants and all that kind of stuff. If you put industry in the wrong direction, all that pollution can blow into the residential area because the wind direction is blowing all that stuff, and now your city is polluted. So like it's that, or if you want to use, like, there's forest down there in the bottom left. There's a lot of forest. You could impact the quality of the forest if you put industry in the wrong direction and the wind's like blowing all the crap that way. So you do have to be there's pre-planning, there's planning as you go, there's quick decision, all that kind of stuff like is in there. You can get as simple and just go with the flow as you want, or you can get as serious and like, I'm going to build a real city. I'm a rebuild Paris in, like whatever you want to do. So it does have that kind of depth. I'm not there yet. I probably never will be, but yeah, I just enjoy putting these cities together and watching stuff happen. And then, as stuff comes up, solving the problems as they come. So it is fun.
Is it one of those games where I feel like it's kind of a unique feature that some games have where you'll start playing it and then you'll blink and it's been 3 hours? This feels like a game where that could happen.
Yeah, that happened. That happened to me yesterday morning. It was 8:20, and next thing I knew, it was 9:17, and I needed to leave for work. So I was like, "Oh, crap!" Because after you start putting stuff together and watching things play out, that's where the real fun begins. Because now stuff is, you're seeing your decision making happen, and that's fun to watch. And then as you go, you start to see where the cons of your decision making start playing out. So that's where the problem solving comes in, and that's part of the fun.
Trying to remember.
What'd you name your city?
Is it a Rube Goldberg machine? Is what they call them. Essentially, it's kind of like that.
I forget what the Rube Goldberg machine is. What is that?
It's like you start something rolling and like it knocks this down and does this and does all these weird things and stuff before it finally like hands you a spoon or something like. That's kind of the vibes that you get with these. Is you're essentially putting everything together to see if it will end in a certain way.
It kind of is that. Yeah. Like some stuff is plain obvious. You put some water systems together and make sure the water line gets to the city. Okay, that will work. But what happens when you get more people and you've built out a lot? Where are you going to put the water? Where are you going to put the electricity?
You're wanting that great flow of everything.
Yeah. And this is part of the original Cities Skylines, but you could choose the type of energy you want to produce. Do you want green energy, or you're okay with a very polluting power plant type of thing? So like you can make these kind of decisions. So you can have the great polluting power plant, but you're going to get a lot more power than the little wind fan things. I can't remember the name of off the top of my head that I tend to use because I try to be green. So yeah, lots of little decision making, lots of things you realize it's like, I guess there's a lot of logic that goes into building an actual city, and then what's the logic when that city is built and you want to add new things, you want to add sports arenas, you want to all these kind of things. It is
They actually talked to us a little bit about it. My wife and I went on a city tour in Chattanooga, Tennessee, and in Chattanooga, Tennessee, they actually had to ban factories because Chattanooga is kind of a valley city, so the pollution was getting caught because it wasn't getting out.
Oh.
And I think they said that at one point Chattanooga was actually named America's dirtiest city.
Dirtiest, even over LA.
This was I believe quite some time back in the past. I
Oh,
don't remember what point of the late 1900s it was, but like, so they ended up changing all of that because like having to ban stuff, and then they turned, because the city was getting poor because of it, they ended up turning to tourism actually to use the beauty
interesting.
of what the area had once it had cleaned up to help things along.
Yeah, that's really fascinating. That's the kind of decision making that happens in City Skylines. Like
Yep.
the area that you're in can impact your city. And
Yep.
so as you're building it out, you might have to make some decisions. You might want to build out a more commercialized city, one that's more business oriented, and then you realize for whatever reason,
I love how
people
you're
ain't-
moving this thing around and just all of a sudden all your roads are like, no.
Stop it.
oh, that's because
green, and then
I'm putting it on it. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's not just one street, it's every road. No.
No, I could put it there. The problem was,
It backs up everything else.
no, I was overlapping, so I can't
gotcha.
like put the building on the road.
Gotcha. It's just funny.
Yeah. Now I'm building a cemetery now. Because
Noah asked the question before.
Oh, it's the $1 million question. What did you name your city?
I just let it be random because I knew I was going to restart cities. So
That makes sense.
yeah,
It's a
I'm in the
smart plan.
I'm in the learning phase right now, so I didn't want to get too attached to any of my cities.
A lot of times when I build worlds, I name it Tatooine.
Oh yeah, Star Wars names is great. Yeah. I will say this. The hardest decision for me always is where do I put my landfill? Because you see this giant circle. You put that landfill anywhere close to the residence, you're going to see a bunch of thumbs down, like showing you like, no, get that thing away from us. We are not happy with a landfill being near us.
Makes sense.
Yeah, City Skylines. It's still fun. Performance isn't great. That needs to change, but I'm having fun with it. I didn't know the console version was delayed 6 months.
Yep.
I did not know.
Probably because of performance issues.
I imagine so. I had somebody on Threads comment on one of my threads that they were jealous because I was already playing it, and they said the console version was delayed. I was like, oh, didn't even know that. Okay.
Yeah, I didn't.
I would imagine as bad as it was on PC, it's probably way worse on console in the testing.
I mean, yeah, you would think so, I guess, but I mean, the consoles are pretty powerful. I mean, this isn't like a super resource intensive game. I mean, for both the PlayStation 5 and the Series X, they're both much better CPUs than what was used in the past. So I don't know.
There's apparently enough going on to
Yeah,
There's
something.
something big.
some of it.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
6 months.
Well, something else big that's happened. Bungie laid off approximately 100 people, about 8% of its workforce. It has been the talk of the town. I don't know if it's just been because it's Bungie, but it has absolutely taken over a lot of conversation. So Bungie's laid off over 100 employees. Bungie CEO Pete Parsons said the layoffs have come from declining interest in Destiny 2. And I'm just reading off some just highlights from all the stories that have been collected. A lot of employees didn't know they were going to be laid off until they found out on Twitter, or they tried to log into their accounts and they couldn't. And then when they were laid off, they said they couldn't tell anyone. Many couldn't say goodbye. Bungie tried to hide the number of layoffs that it was. And then many who were laid off had shares in the company that they couldn't take advantage of because those shares were taken once they were laid off. So I guess they get stock. And I guess there's a policy, like if you leave the company, including layoff, you lose the ability to keep that stock. The statement from Bungie that I saw from Paul Tassi on Threads I think, oh man, I think I did the wrong one. Hold up. I can find it real quick. Here it is. I'm going to read the whole thing and then you'll have your reactions to this. This has been one of the most difficult weeks in our studio's history. And this is marked as Destiny 2 Dev Team, titled Our Path Forward. This has been one of the most difficult weeks in our studio's history as we've parted ways with people we respect and admire. We've spent this week supporting one another, including those who are at the studio, as well as friends and colleagues who are no longer here. We want to acknowledge the feedback and concerns you have about Lightfall and recent seasons, as well as your responses to the reveal of the final shape. We know we have lost a lot of your trust. Destiny needs to surprise and delight. We haven't done this enough, and that's going to change. To us, the path forward is clear. We need to make the final shape an unforgettable Destiny experience. We want to build something that will be regarded alongside the best games we've ever made, a fitting culmination that honors the journey we've been on together for the past 10 years. Forsaken, the Witch Queen, and the Ticking King, these are the standard bearers we aim to live up to. We are intensely focused on exceeding your expectations for the final shape. Destiny 2 has more than 650 dedicated teammates pouring all their energy and expertise into delivering this epic moment and its subsequent episodes. In the weeks ahead, you'll be hearing more from us about what's next on the short-term horizon, beginning with our next season in late November. Afterwards, we'll begin to unpack our team's bigger, bolder, and brighter vision for the final shape, as well as the bridge we plan to build to take us all out of this darkness and into the light. See you, Starside, the Destiny 2 dev team. I didn't realize that was the last part of the sentence. Take us all out of this darkness and into the light. Dear God, that just sounds awful.
Sounds like it was written by AI, doesn't it?
I wouldn't go that far, but it definitely sounds like some of the communications team that they laid off probably should have stuck around at least for this.
I was going to say, we know it definitely wasn't humans that wrote it because they laid those guys off.
Yep. Your reactions.
I mean, go first.
Yeah, I was like, I'll lead this one, buddy. I've had a few days to process everything and just see if there were more details or more info to come out, because you never want to do like a knee-jerk reaction to these kind of things. But it's heartbreaking and frustrating and not sickening, but it definitely sucks when you have a company that, you've disagreed with some of their philosophies and the way they went about the game, but at the end of the day, you're like, but they do love the game. And it seems like everyone at Bungie loved working at Bungie, and it was this really one of the few standouts of a good, positive, like, every company says we're like family, but they really did appear like a family, even from the top down, like with Pete Parsons. And then you find out, no, they're just like all the other companies that don't hold accountability the way they should be, where I believe it should be accountability runs top down.
Oh, yeah.
And they just don't. And to see, especially, like, I know sometimes layoffs have to happen in businesses, but the fact that it was their first response and the way that they handled it and the way that they have responded is really, I think, what has lost all trust in the community at this point. They talk about wanting to, lost trust, earn that back. It's going to take a long time before that kind of trust can be, earned back.
I don't know. Do you think they get it back? I don't know if they get it back.
It won't be with Destiny. like I said, it's not something that you can just say that you're gonna work on. It's, you have to put out the product that we all expect you to put out, but also you're gonna have to completely restructure your image and the way you go about things, which they won't. No, I don't think any companies ever like, hey, we made a mistake. We're going to go about things differently. Like, they just don't do that. So it's tough. Like, if Bungie wasn't in trouble before. Now they really are. And they've shot themselves in the foot by doing it.
Well, it's a back up against the wall situation, so to speak, is the easiest way to put it. Because in the end, really, they were, what did they say, negative 45, under 45%?
On projections. So it's a number that a guy in accounting typed up and presented, and it's, so just off of David, you've worked sales, you know how numbers fluctuate with sales and, forecasts and stuff. So
they can, but that's a really bad direction to be.
Well, how bad is that number when what you have projected, you're under 45%? Like that makes, I don't see how that was such a big, percentage.
Well, and I'm sure between that and then between Sony, I guarantee you this is probably how it happened. Sony probably came to them and said, look, we looked at the numbers. We see all this kind of stuff, because I'm sure things were probably downtrending anyway. But it was, hey, we see these numbers. We see this. We need you to cut blank percent, because there's a lot of people that want to blame Sony off of this, especially the flipping Xbox community. And really what happened was Sony probably came and said, we need this percentage. And that was the way that Bungie decided to do it, was to make all of those cuts.
I mean,
go ahead.
Go ahead.
We've seen reports and stuff from multiple people that Sony came in and was just asking a broader question of, hey, you guys are
you got to cut
making
something.
less. No, it wasn't even cut. It was just broader inquiries, and then this was Bungie's answer to it.
Well, yeah, Bungie, according to Paul Tassi, Bungie was asking for spending cuts. Whatever that looked like, that I've seen.
Which, that doesn't mean go out and lay off 8% of your.
Yeah, I don't know how you go from spending cuts to, we spend too much on our employees, so let's lay off 8% of them.
And the thing that
payroll is the most controllable expense. That's the only thing I will say is
I understand that.
Yeah, but you're also, you just acquired this studio. I'm assuming Sony realizing like, hey, we need to make some return on our investment kind of thing. But you know what Bungie's also doing that's not helping that? They're building a brand new HQ that's going to, cost how much?
Oh, yeah. That's
still
poor planning.
Well, I don't know if you guys have seen, they're one of the most touted companies for advocating remote work. So it's such a bad look. All of these things that have lined up for them, it's completely bit them.
Yeah. Well, and the big elephant in the room is it's incredible that Destiny 2 is even being played as much as it is at this point. They are still one of those games that has still somehow remained it's not top 10, still in the top 20, which is pretty commendable for a game that by all means should not have this kind of staying power with how it is being built right now. They really need to, and maybe I'm in the minority, but they really need to move on to Destiny 3. They've got, or whatever comes next, because
I've heard that sentiment.
It is just, they are just, even if Final Shape is incredible, it's it's still Destiny 2.
But how could the Final Shape be incredible at this point? They say they're going to make it.
It would just be a good cap. At this point, it's just a good cap to a story. That's
fine.
Again, it's a fleeting 8 hours, at best.
How can you make it
this
better
is fantastic. Okay, I'm done.
100 less people. You laid off the art director who created the Halo logo. So she's been there for a while.
Michael Salvatore.
Michael Salvatore. Michael freaking Salvatore.
That was when my jaw dropped. When all the I was okay, the publishing, some of that stuff I can see, but no, it's every department I was oh no. And then I saw Michael Salvatore, and that's when the jaw dropped.
I mean, the only thing you can hope is that, there's some promising young talent that are in the wings. Or that get picked up or something like that. That's really that is literally the best case scenario for them. I'm just saying it that someone else gets a chance to shine. Like that's literally best case scenario.
Well, his stuff is already, the stuff that he did for Final Shape is already done. So hopefully he gets credited for that. But yeah, to go back to your, why don't they do Destiny 3? It's like, I get that, but Destiny is their only moneymaker right now. And you can't just turn that off to spend 3 to 4 years developing a sequel with your already limited staff now. So
let's remember that limited for Destiny is different than every other company, because Destiny, as many people as obviously you hate to see be lost, you also got to look at it as they have a ton of workforce still. If they
have 650 working on Destiny right now.
Yeah. So, like, that's still, I'm not saying that's perfect. I'm just saying that's still a lot. Like, what team was it? I read something like Remedy is a team of less than 200. So, like, in the end, it's as long as people are being used correctly, and that's sometimes part of the issue. Well, and again, falls on leadership, as I talk about all the time. Management, like if they can do the right things, then then things can be salvaged. It's just,
well, I mean, if you've seen the reports, that's clearly not going to happen.
Yeah.
They've had disagreements about the direction of the Final Shape. So
devs have been begging for changes that we have spoken about, and
that's super interesting, because we've gotten to this point where the players themselves, the grumbling, still playing the game, but lots of grumbling, I mean, forever. And the players literally telling Bungie, yo, this isn't working. We don't like this. Don't do this stuff anymore. And though Bungie will make incremental changes, but they don't make the type of changes that really please the people. And then you also have the employees inside saying, hey, let us do these things. The players will really like this. That's how you retain a player base.
Right. They played the game. Like,
that's how you retain a player base. And you have leadership going, probably, I don't know how that's going to impact the bottom line. They're probably not using those words, but ultimately, how is that going to impact our ability to maximize the money we need to make? You got to just go. Like, if you lose the player base, you're in the situation you're in now. So
yeah,
the only thing I'm really interested is we always hear these kind of stories when people are being let go. We were fighting for this to be for players with this kind of thing. And I'm not saying any of these people are lying. I'm just, sometimes I am interested.
There's current employees saying this.
Okay,
they're remaining anonymous.
That I didn't hear. Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah,
I just was making, because we do hear that sometimes with people when they're gone.
Well, yeah, because you get you get
what I was
people
doing.
that just got laid off out of the blue. Yeah, of course they're going to be grumpy and they all that.
Well, let's not forget though that Halo Infinite, they cut a lot of people, including legacy people, and Season 5 is shaping up to be their best season yet.
Season 5 is good. I've been playing Halo Infinite again, but Halo Infinite is not doing nearly as much as what Destiny is doing. Destiny, remember, they're creating the Final Shape, which has its own story, which has its own missions, doing all that kind of stuff. And then, I mean, even then you have the Battle Pass stuff. Then you have, the seasons. So that's already 3 things. Only one of those Halo Infinite is doing. Halo Infinite makes new maps, and Halo Infinite is the PvP that Destiny players wish they had, because Bungie's not paying any attention to PvP. So all their attention is mostly on PvE, and that's a lot of attention. Clearly, because 45% of the expected people who would spend money in Lightfall are not.
Yep. And like I said, Lightfall was a subpar. I'll be generous. It was not well received. And so you have to expect and make adjustments to be like, hey, this next year until final shape, it's going to be lower because we've had a weaker annual expansion. The seasons have been good. I don't really have seen many people complaining about the seasons. It's just Lightfall is your big casual player base whenever they come back for the big thing. And when that's, underperforms, that's the way of the trend.
Yeah. If Lightfall was good, it actually did whatever it was supposed to do. I guess if Lightfall were actually the final shape and the final shape did what it was supposed to do, I would probably still be playing in some of the season stuff. But when you don't have the main hook that keeps and it doesn't actually catch anybody, then seasons might be good. Who gives a flip? They're not here to play it and they're not here to spend money on it. It doesn't matter. So,
and then what happens when the annual expansion's bad? You can't sell them on the next expansion with marketing. It has to come out and they have to see people's reception on it.
Especially after Destiny is so far along and it's been so up and down. Anytime a bad expansion comes out, that just increases the fatigue players are already feeling from playing Destiny in the first place. So many people are like, I'm done. And then after this layoff situation, people are, I'm not even going to pre-order the final shape, which comes to find out the pre-orders for final shape have already not been great. Why? Because Lightfall. People are fatigued from Destiny. They were willing to play if Lightfall were good. They were willing to play. But because it was bad, that was the drop-off point for them. Now it's affected the pre-orders for the final shape. Now we are here.
Yeah, it just also speaks to me just again, though, that Bungie really needs to be on another project. That just is what it says to me, because it's a whole lot easier to start with something, get players into something new. That isn't expansions are great, but this is a game that is old, and there's only so much you can iterate on it.
I think that's why they, sectioned off for Marathon. I think that's what they're banking on to be their next hit, because they'll make Destiny as long as
Matter is.
I've asked across, I think it was asked across, or somewhere I saw on Twitter. I haven't seen any talk of Matter, and there's rumors. I've seen one rumor that it got canned.
It'd be real interesting. It'd be real interesting if Matter got canned, because Matter was paid for by NetEase, if I'm not mistaken.
Well,
so
canned can really mean either done or on pause.
Yep.
So, I said, I haven't seen anybody talk about it. But yeah, I think the majority is working on Destiny, and then they've basically took their entire OG PvP team and have them working on Marathon.
Which there were people from the Marathon team that lost their jobs too. So this wasn't just a Destiny centric layoff. This was everybody.
And
it was all departments. It wasn't one specific department.
The unfortunate thing is, I feel like we need to get this out of the way. Joe, I would 99% put money down that he had nothing to do with this. He might have known. Yeah, the game director.
Oh, okay.
Blackbird. Yeah. I feel like a purely business decision that he would have anything to do with. But I am frustrated because we'll never know who made all these decisions to, cut everybody, because it can't be just Pete. Yeah. There's got to be upper management.
If you look, these are a lot of high level people who probably had the biggest salaries. Just pure and simple.
Well, yeah, Michael Salvatore, the person who created the Halo logo.
These are people,
the lead community person.
Well, they're publishing and
these are
CM
people
stuff.
Who had high dollars.
I wouldn't say their publishing and CM team was.
Well, I'm not saying specifically on all of them, but we see a lot of like people who'd been there a while that probably had the highest, that had a lot of high dollar, like Michael Salvatore, like I think it's Lorraine McLeese was the name.
But
like,
those people, though, you've built that trust. You don't want to let them go.
yeah,
You know, there's other solutions. Like Salvatore should have a statue at that studio. You know, so
yeah.
this could have been avoidable.
Avoidable by making consistently good content.
We hope, you hope, but you also want, like, again, if I'm looking at it and this guy is like, obviously he's made phenomenal music, but if he's got a humongous price tag and I'm supposed to be cutting money because our projections are not looking good, then I'm at least that I'm just hinging my bets on it. I'm not saying that shouldn't happen, and we don't know behind the scenes if they haven't. I'm just being flat out on that one. I'm not saying that it didn't happen. I'm not saying that it did happen.
Oh, it would have.
I'm just saying we also don't know.
Yeah. I'd say Schreier would have found out about that.
We think, but high level executives are probably the only ones seeing those kind of numbers, though. That isn't something that any source is going to have access to.
Does this happen if Bungie is independent?
No.
I think there's a chance it does. Because here's the thing, they don't have honestly, it might have happened before now. It may have happened immediately after Lightfall because they didn't have the Sony cushion. Because let's remember, Sony spent an extra $1 billion for retention. They may have been about to lay people off at that point when Sony bought them.
Well, their
Sony spent the extra $1 billion
was to keep the retention, which is apparently a timed exclusive on that contract.
Let's remember $1.2 billion does not go nearly as far as it used to.
Clearly, because Bungie's hurting for money.
Yeah. But like truly, it doesn't. Like Sony just has reported record profits, but guess what? They do not have record revenue. But guess what? They don't have record profits. It's because money isn't going as far as it used to. Things cost more. Like that's kind of where Bungie is. Yeah, they got a big cash influx, but suddenly that cash doesn't spend as well as it used to. Like everybody is hurting. I mean, Microsoft laid off 10,000 workers.
I know Bungie couldn't predict the economy, but this is what bothers me about Bungie.
What's that combination? It's that combination, though. It's you put out a bad product and the economy's bad.
Sure, yeah. But my problem with Bungie and their decision making is this isn't an outlier situation. They decide to break away from Microsoft because Microsoft wants them to keep making Halo, which I don't blame them, but they want to make Destiny. Okay. So they go independent. And then in the process of going independent, they team up with Activision, who's like the worst publisher you could team up with in terms of doing the thing that you want to do. And then they have a bunch of drama. A bunch of people are let go. Some people leave, all that because Activision and their decision making and what their expectations and what the contract was meant to do just did not vibe with a lot of the way Bungie typically operated. So they're with them for 5-6 years. They finally get away from Activision because Bungie finally realizes like, oh yeah, I guess this wasn't actually a good idea. I mean, good God, lucky for them. They were even able to keep the IP after they left Activision, but I guess Activision didn't feel it was good enough. But so they go independent and they make this whole big announcement. It's like, yeah, we're independent, guys. We get to do the things that we want to do. And in terms of marketing and production and all that, you don't really see a fall off. What you do see is bigger monetization with it. And they're trying all kinds of different stuff. And they're just throwing stuff out there. And literally, I've said this before. You guys have heard me say this. This is the only game where I've literally have seen every video game monetization practice in one game. Because they're throwing everything at the wall. And then they're like, we're gonna get bought out by Sony, and this is a great. So it's I consistently feel like Bungie they have plans, but they're not fully fleshed out, and so there is a level of flying by the seat of their pants that they do, and that just does not work. And this feels like an effect of this flying by the seat of the pants. I mean, you got Pete Parsons suggesting that the remaining employees that the company had kept were the right people. Like, what the frick? That's a flying by the seat of the pants kind of statement. Like, if you don't sit down and think about what you were saying, you don't run it by people first, you don't make that kind of comment.
Especially like
people. Give me a break.
At the timing too, like it's, like I said, this could have been avoidable. This is just it. No matter how you look at it, it's gone wrong for them, and the community. They're in a lose-lose situation. I've seen multiple people use that analogy where it's like, if Final Shape's bad, then people aren't going to buy it. They're probably going to have to lay off more. Whereas, like, if we do buy it, the Final Shape's good, then what? Like, what's Destiny's plan for after that? Like, are you going to go back to the seasonal or this episodic content? Like, what's that going to do to keep? And so, and then, if it is good, Bungie's like, oh, hey, we can cut costs even more. It's just not a fun time right now. It's been rough.
Yeah, and this has been, and I don't want to overgeneralize the Destiny community, but I have never felt like Bungie was for the people. I didn't care how much charity work they did and like all this other stuff. People always praising them for the type of things they do. It's not that it's bad what they're doing, but there's always been some sort of like, this is our image attached to the things that they do.
Mm-hmm.
And I've seen enough Bungie decisions to suggest, no, this is not who you are, but this is a great image that you are portraying to the people, and a lot of people are eating it up. And so this whole family image that Bungie has put up has shattered so many people, which I think is why it's such a big story for a lot of people, because this is Bungie. Bungie's been about the people. Bungie's... And to me, I'm like, no, they're not, because the moment they decided to go with Activision, that tells you so much. It doesn't tell you everything, but it tells you so much about where their mind is and what their thinking is. And I was just, no, this is a company that needs money and a company that needs to grow and do all that stuff. But this is a company. Like, you don't be Bungie and team up with Activision unless you're a company.
Money.
Which is not the image Bungie has portrayed itself as.
No, it's, everybody who ever, most people who were very vocal on social media, like the devs and the CMs, were like, I love working at Bungie. Like they would always, after like big team meetings, many of the employees and stuff would tweet out like Bungie in all caps, which we were all thinking, hey, they're excited, which apparently is probably now like, oh, they're so frustrated, like yelling at Bungie. So it's just...
Yeah, I don't want to take away those experiences, but I'm just talking about in terms of from the top down. Like this is how the thinking
They're
is.
Definitely a business. Yeah.
Yeah. So on a general day-to-day level, I don't think people were generally mistreated or, things like that. People feel good about working there. Fine. But in terms of who Bungie is and the decisions that they make, they are a company. So when something like this happens, nobody really should be surprised.
It's what happens when you as a community are on the copium of like they're the magic they did it. They're able to be financially successful and aggressive with getting, funds and money, but also like they're just a good company. Like you just don't see those two mix, and we thought we had a match. They obviously had, their road bumps and stuff, but this is just really solidified that they're just another company with higher ups that hold no accountability.
Yeah, we saw it with Blizzard also. It's the exact same thing that happened with Blizzard. The Blizzard. Oh my gosh, they
Jeff Kaplan.
Yeah.
So
and the same thing happens with them. And granted, Blizzard kept up their image even after being absorbed by Activision. So credit to them on that front. But eventually, it caught up with them. Yeah. And so these are companies. This should be a lesson for any community. Phil Spencer is a businessman. He presents himself as I'm for the gamers, and he makes decisions that, yes, are for the gamers. But at the end of the day, he's a businessman.
Which is why he's putting ads on your Xbox.
I guess we're shifting. Yes. So yeah, David, you showed me this one. What is this? I haven't turned on my Xbox in about a week because I've been playing Cities Skylines on PC Game Pass.
I can't say I haven't turned on my Xbox either, so I can't say anything specific. But apparently, as soon as you turn your Xbox on, you are greeted with a big take over the front of your console.
Let me see if
I
can
can't
put this
confirm
on while you're talking about it.
I can't confirm.
Oh, you saw it.
Yeah, I thought it was really funny David mentioned that because I literally turned on my Xbox because that's my media player, and I look up and I was like, oh. Did I press a button? That was my first thought. I was
on the dashboard.
I was like, where's the home screen? I guess, I didn't even put two to two together because Activision, I was like, oh, Call of Duty, they paid to put marketing up, on the front page or something. And then David sent messages that, and I was like,
no, they own Call of Duty now.
Yeah, I was like, that's why they did it. I didn't.
Got to make $68 billion back somehow. So.
Yeah, I had a moment like that too, where it's like, why would they? Oh yeah, they own them now. Because
I didn't even get that far.
Oh yeah.
The issue is the practice, and it's that there are already ads already on the front of the dashboard. Those already exist all over the front of the Xbox dashboard. Now, I can't even start my console without getting an ad. And apparently, this isn't the first time. They apparently did this with Starfield as well.
Oh, I didn't.
Xbox marketing actually said that they did this with Starfield as well. I don't remember it myself. I'm just saying that Xbox marketing has actually said, somebody from the Xbox marketing said they did it. I do not like this. Yeah, I do not like this as a practice in the slightest. Like Starfield, at least it's on Game Pass, so you can at least point your subscribers towards it. Call of Duty's a full $70 release with microtransactions. There is no clicking into Game Pass to get the benefit of this, but in general, I should not boot up a $500 device that I own and have to click out of an ad just to use it.
I completely agree, but the whole thing of it happening is really funny to me.
It feels wrong. It just feels wrong, though.
It does feel wrong.
I'm surprised it hasn't been a thing, like a more, like, I haven't seen it on PlayStation or, any other game that I can think of.
Well, there's a lot of people who've pointed out the the only thing I can think of is I think UFC actually during loading screens had ads, like literal ads. Like,
Yeah,
they actually patched it out. Like, that's about as close.
I haven't seen it like popping up like on the start screen of your console.
That's where it's different. Like, I get it. You're advertising, hey, go buy this game, like on the dashboard.
Do you have your console on instant on?
I think so.
Or in the I have mine on the other one.
I just press the start button and it starts up.
Sure, yeah, but if you don't have it on instant on, it doesn't go like to the Xbox splash screen and then brings you to the home screen. It just wherever you were last.
Oh, I do this the regular start thing then.
I've seen lots of people with the it's no problem. You just press exit. That's all that matters. Just press exit. You're crying about nothing. It's just because it's Xbox that you're crying. It's actually Jez Corden who actually said he doesn't want it, which is the funniest thing because Jez Corden is all Xbox.
Yeah.
So it's like, the biggest thing is it's just
you got to squash the bug.
It's the same reason I don't like YouTube ads when they pop up when I'm trying to watch a video.
Well, YouTube ads
makes me hate it more.
Seconds.
Yeah, and I don't pay for YouTube.
Yeah.
Like, YouTube's just free wherever I access it.
If you pay for Game Pass, you shouldn't see the ad? Is that what you're saying?
Heck, I'm paying for the Xbox. I'm paying for the device.
Well, you pay for the device that shows YouTube, so why can't YouTube show ads?
But YouTube is not like directly owned by the device that
no, hold on.
And I don't have to click out of this.
Hold on. In this
instance, I literally cannot use this. I literally cannot use my device until I click out of this ad.
Well, no, like David goes in, he types in youtube.com, presses enter, and gets an ad before he can even get to the site. That's what it's like.
I agree. Yeah, that was.
Yeah,
it's not seeing ads on YouTube.
Noah.
It's not seeing ads on YouTube. It's the similarity. It's you type in youtube.com,
over the YouTube
press enter,
video,
and it's
like going to play, and it shows you an ad before you've even clicked it.
I guess some of it is that it's the steps that we're seeing. Because Microsoft is I haven't seen and again I'm not trying to say Microsoft bad, PlayStation, Nintendo good in this, but I've not seen the sort of ad takeover that I see on my Xbox dashboard. Like, there are ads everywhere on the Xbox dashboard.
I don't have that many ads on my Xbox.
I see compared to everybody else, because nobody else has them. Like,
why do you have
Xbox
them?
has two. There's at least like one or two different things there when you boot up your Xbox dashboard that are telling you about buying things, that new actual advertisements.
Maybe
I get it. If I was in third place, I'd have to look for other income too. But I had to throw that dig in there. But it's just that was the first step, and now it's an ad. Like, how long before I boot up my console and have to watch a 15-minute clip about Monster Energy before I can actually play Call of Duty or whatever?
The next step would be from this is a 15-second ad that you might be able to skip before you be able to boot up into your console, which, yes, that would be not equally, that would be far worse. But
that would be a deal breaker for me. Like, if I have to choose consoles...
Yeah.
For sure.
There's an ad-free console. It just that's why we have to squash the bug now. If we tell them we don't like this, there's no way they can go further.
Yeah, it's more, and that's really what it is. It's the old, give the devil an inch, he'll take a mile. Yeah. Like, if this is not talked about and brought to light and talked about how somewhat predatory this is, like, this has to be stopped now before it begins. Like, I think what is it, Jez Corden, he said this and it was kind of funny. He said somebody said somewhat irritating, but nothing spending 1 second pressing right, A wouldn't solve. And he said, that's today. Then tomorrow you got to pull out your phone and sing a McDonald's jingle into the mic to bypass. And it's like, I get that. You're not I'm not saying that that's exactly what would happen, but like, if it's okay to do now, if the precedent is there, then it's like, okay, how do we continue? This made money. This worked. How do we push this further?
Can we get away with?
What else can we get away with? Can we get something going with Starbucks?
I'm telling you, we squash the bug now.
Yeah.
Like, don't let them.
Like, and again, I already hate the ads that are on the dashboard in the first place. I don't like it going further.
What if they put the ad at the beginning screen and then took all the ads off the dashboard?
What if they put it in Microsoft Store instead of trying to get me on the very front freaking page?
Well, what if you don't understand advertising, David?
Oh, I understand advertising, but I don't get why they do it and none of their competitors do.
Well, that's why you got to set the precedent, man.
It's like, hey, buy Xbox Game Pass and your console will go ad free. You know,
yeah. Like I
don't
like
have a PS5.
when I boot up my
ads on
when I boot up my
dashboard?
PlayStation 5, there is a what's hot or whatever that little thing.
It's
That's
like
where you
background.
start, and it's an advertisement, but it's more of a.
It feels more natural. Like
it's a very natural thing of this is
like
the
a
newest. It's usually a this is the newest game that just released kind of thing. That's kind of faded, but your dashboard, like, it's very easy to move. Like, again, it's not really an ad. It's just there of this is the newest release. Like, I never feel that way when I go onto the Xbox dashboard. Like, when you have to put terms and conditions at the bottom of the tile, then it's legit an ad.
Well, yeah, when it says sponsored right over it.
Yeah, like it's straight up. This is just straight up what it is. Like,
yes, that feels more abrupt compared to what PlayStation is.
My Xbox is a ballpark.
I don't know why they put sponsored over something. It's like, you guys own this thing. Like, why do you put sponsored over the thing?
I mean, it's technically sponsored, I guess, because they own it.
Because they're getting paid for it, I guess.
Yeah, I guess. Well, they pay for an ad. You don't, unless somebody's paying them.
Yeah, it's just annoyances, and it's also the, like we talked about, it's the precedent that is set. That how much further will this line be towed if it isn't squashed now?
No, yeah, it needs to go. This is I don't want to boot up my Xbox and especially I like Call of Duty, but I'm ambivalent to Call of Duty at this point. So no, I don't want a Call of Duty.
And that's probably the biggest thing. This isn't just a game. Anyway. This isn't just a Game Pass game. That's the biggest thing. Like, this is an actual, like,
even if it was
spend money on a game.
Why?
Yeah, it isn't one.
Why does it make it better if it's Game Pass? If it's on Game Pass,
I get, and I don't want it taking over, but at least, like, if you're putting this is the newest release on Game Pass right on my front board, I'm more happy with that than I am with, like, again, a literal ad, because I cannot play that naturally in terms of a service like through a service I already own, which that's the biggest thing is not everybody has Game Pass. So,
well, it feels like it is. I mean, it's not an ad you care about, so it's annoying there, which is completely logical. But if it were Game Pass, like, you're mildly interested, so it's okay.
Again, on the front, like on the dashboard, I'm a little less annoyed by something that's on Game Pass because it's more informative rather than this, which is straight up just blocking me from the homepage.
Yeah. No, it needs to go for sure.
Yeah.
Well, hold on, hear me out. Okay.
A lot of devil's advocates on this one. This one's fun.
Hold on, hear me out.
Can you imagine how mad you would be if Redfall came over the front page?
They wouldn't. Yes, I would be mad. Yes.
Look, I thought I forgot about this. It's back. No. So, all right. So, how funny? Since we pay on the one of the coders over at Xbox, pay one of the coders on the side to like just occasionally code it in to where whenever somebody turns on their Xbox, Super Mario Wonder, and then it goes away. Like, or Marvel Spider-Man 2, like just to like that way, you know, just make it sporadic enough that when they call into customer service, like, you really think we would put an ad for Mario Wonder? Like, it's just a bug. Like
I
think it'd be really funny.
Understand this takeover ad if you clicked into the Microsoft Store.
Like you click in the Microsoft Store, it pops up.
And then it pops up, and then you exit. Like, I understand that. That I would actually be fine with because I'm going somewhere to look for things to buy.
Mm-hmm.
This is like
you don't turn on your Xbox to immediately want to buy something.
I have Game Pass. I just wait for the game to hit there. As an Xbox player, I no longer buy anything.
You're using your Xbox incorrectly. It's only there so you buy things. You don't play games on it.
I just buy controllers.
There are no games to play, David. You don't play games on it. You just buy games.
Xbox, no games.
Theoretically, should play.
Speaking of which, there are 9 people on Steam playing Redfall right now for that update for our podcast.
Shout out to them.
They're still going. They're still going. All 9 of them.
Yep.
If I had the time, I really would like to do an episode of us just trying to find all the players of Redfall.
Oh, I thought you were about to say us playing Redfall. I was like, I wouldn't. I wouldn't want that at all.
Anthony shows up. He's the only person on the podcast.
Hey guys, where'd you go?
David and I are playing a COD and stuff. We're like, oh yeah, Anthony, having a great time playing Redfall. Like, we're with you, buddy.
It's 10 o'clock my time. Where you at? I've been here.
Oh, it must be lag or something because we see you. We don't know why you can't see us, you know.
Oh. All right. Well, that has filled this episode pretty well. That's some other stories. So,
yep.
That'll do it for us. So, speaking of things that need to go, we do. So, appreciate you watching. Appreciate you listening. It's a big week next week. You know what I was thinking before we go?
It's Call of Duty week, yeah.
That's going to be a...
Which, not next week, the week after, because we're taking a break next week.
Yeah, you're right.
Totally not to play COD. I couldn't even finish the sentence. Laughing myself.
Oh man, I'm gonna be down here for like 2 straight days, literally.
You get okay. Are you allowed to say if you're reviewing?
Oh yeah, because the early access is already hit.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you guys are going to be
early campaign access.
Yeah, you guys are going to be done with the actual review probably in 3 days. So at this point, it's just going to be
that's a big hope.
Well, we have stuff. That's the biggest thing because the in review time we get it at the same time as every other person in the world gets it. So we have campaign at the same time as everybody else for early campaign access, and then we get to play multiplayer and zombies when everybody else starts. So, but it should be fun.
We just got out of October, which I mean was banger after banger after banger after banger. November is still pretty stacked. There's some stuff there that's worth playing for sure. Like it's slowing down a little bit. We're getting out of the it's probably
Monsoon
70 miles
season.
Yeah. Probably getting out of the 70 mile an hour zone and more into a 55 mile an hour zone. So yeah, I mean there's still going to be some stuff to talk about this month. So that's exciting. With that said, we'll see you in 2 weeks. Appreciate you watching. Appreciate you listening. Deuces.